Yeah.
They were available at the time, and you copied them down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then there is this concept of bot store. And you got to have an ID to get into the bot store. I think my ID works. Yeah, that's not the right password. So, but the idea with the bot store is that you can go to the bot store and get all kinds of programs that other people have written.
Oh, not necessarily Benjamin Moore.
Not necessarily Benjamin Moore. You can actually write a bot, and then you can decide that you want to share that bot with the AA community. And you can either share it as a free bot, or you can share it as a pay-as-you-go bot. So most people share bots for free, but if you really built something that's super specific, you could try monetizing that bot and selling it to other users.
Kind of freelance stuff.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure what my let's see. There's a bunch of ways to get into the bot store. Let's see if if I go into a people, I think this might work. And oh, this might just be chat stuff here. Resources. I thought this was easier than this. There we go. Resources, bot store.
There you go.
All right. So now you can search for bots that are out here. Now, some bots are the new stuff, the Automation 360. Some bots are the older stuff, which is version 11. There's even version 10 stuff out here that are bots. But you can, if you've got a specific thing that you're looking for and you're like, man, why should I have to program this? Didn't somebody else maybe somebody else did it. Like when we were looking at PDFs, you can come up here and you can, let's say you want to mess with PDFs. So you can just search and find out what other people have done with PDFs and see if any of these other things that have been published, A, are they free, and B, do they do they satisfy what you're looking for? So, if you wanted to do any of these type of activities, you could potentially import one of these bots and use it. And we have done that. We have imported several bot store based programs, and we've tried to incorporate what was written into what we were trying, the solution that we were trying to build. I'm surprised that there's 7 pages of PDF bot stuff out here.
No, I don't think that's really super. I mean, surprising because so many PDF applications out there that use PDFs. So
Well, just because, again, the search isn't as specific as you might think, because anything that talks about PDF formats is going to show up, even if it's not related. It could be it could be something that's getting written to a PDF, which really might not be what you're trying to solve. But anyway, so there was a couple. I know I did some searches on Python programs. See if there's anything out here on Python.
yeah, I saw an interesting while you're looking at that a PDF program converted to CSV files. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of nice.
Right. Um, so, so there might, like, even though AA has an email package, there's other programming languages that can interface with, um, IMAP and email. And, if you had a file that you wanted to do a global edit on, there's a way faster way to do an edit using, say, Python, or even maybe even PowerShell or Visual Basic. Probably way faster than asking AA to loop through your data and make a global edit, right? Um, if it was an Excel file, you can use an Excel function to do a global edit, which is way faster than asking AA to do it line by line. Um, so, uh, so you may find situations where you've got, 100,000 records that you want to do something with. Well, AA, Python might be a nice solution to do something with, to edit that data or massage it, versus building it in pure automation anywhere programming. And so having the ability to call external programs to do similar functions, can be a strategy that you decide is the right solution for your particular situation.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It assumes that you're good at, whatever language it is that you're going to implement. Um, Natively, AA can call Python and AA can call Visual Basic. Can't call anything else that I'm aware of. Why it can't call PowerShell directly, I don't know. But you can call Python and then do a system call to call anything you want. So we did that. We wrote a program to call Python, and then we used a system call to execute uh, a system command on the Windows device,
Hmm.
the bot runner device. Um, and so anyway, uh,
So do you think there's a reason to learn Python?
I think that for the few Python things that we have built, all you got to do is search Google for, Python, um, get file checksum, and you'll probably find 5 or 6 different implementations of Python getting the checksum of a file, and you just use it.
So you guys haven't coded a whole Python program, just mainly a Python
Just a
command here or there.
just a small, um, So there's a few small little programs that we've programmed either in Visual Basic or in Python. Um, uh, we did one, the most recent one we did was for checksum. That's why I used that example. The other one, I used several of them in, let's see, R.
So I
So,
guess it doesn't understand bash. That's what you're telling me too here.
well, no, because we don't run on Unix.
Well, that's
Uh,
true. Well,
but you could put a Unix shell on there, and then with that, you could, um,
do a checksum in bash. But
yeah,
yeah, but you know what I'm saying. But anyway, that's
right.
anyway. Here, there.
So the plan is to come out here in Common and we created a Python folder, and we've got the checksum program here. Um, we really need a Visual Basic folder, and we need to put a bunch of copies of all the Visual Basic programs that we've experimented with. And we've got a few more Python programs, at least I do, that we've experimented with, will be available to us as common programs. Right now, most of this is in this operations project that I built. So for operations, chargeback, dev, and work files. All right, so if we sort by type, then we want to come down to Python. All right, so there's a Python for check file. There's a base 64 decode script. Um, and so this is a test of base 64 decoding. So what happens is when we get the bytes that we pull out of OnBase, the string of bytes that comes out of OnBase is base 64. I don't know why they get stored in base 64,
Really?
but base 64 has got to get converted. And so you got to run it through a decoder. And when you get the resulting string from the decoded base 64, you actually get the format of the image that the document was created in. So if it was PDF, you actually get the data of the PDF. And if it was Excel or Word, which are the other format types that are typical in OnBase, you would get your Excel file and you'd get your Word file. But I didn't know that. We had to build a decoder. I was like, how the heck, I asked the AA folks if they had a base 64 decoder function, and they didn't. So I had to go find one. Um,
Yeah.
uh, uh, so, so there was this one, and then we got decoder 2. This is the actual program that we implemented. So if you want to decode it, you pass in a base 64 file. This is a sample, right? And so it opens the file by adding the .txt concatenation to the name, and it reads it, converts it to bytes, and then it writes it to a file, right? So if we open, let's see, so we want to write it to something. What the heck am I doing here? Oh, I had to check to see if the first 4 bytes equal percent PDF, right?
Okay.
That is the check to say I converted this base 64 image. Did it result in a PDF file? And if it doesn't, then I produce an error. But if it was successful, then we change the subject to PDF, we create the file, and we write the bytes to it. That's why this name coming in, it doesn't come in with the full with the it doesn't come in with the suffix. We add the suffix up here, which is .text, and when we write the file, we add the suffix to be .pdf.
Nice.
Did I know this? No, Joe, I didn't know this, but I found 90% of this program, somebody else wrote it. And what I added was I added the error check, and then I added the pieces to do the write to the file name.
I thought everybody knew that, Jack. I'm just
Yeah.
damn.
But yes, you could go take a Python course. I just can't guarantee you that you're going to do a lot of Python programming.
Yeah, I'm just keeping my ears to the ground when I might want to, get
Yeah.
some training in. And it doesn't sound like that would be too beneficial to what we're doing here.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about it, I'm going to take all these Python programs. I'm going to make a copy here. I'm going to come all the way back to BMC, common Python. I'm going to paste all these out here. Make a copy of them, because realistically, there's no reason why we can't share all these.
Yeah.
And in theory, these are all functions. These could all be in one big long, BMC Python library .py file, and you noticed in here that we defined the function is decoded, right? And then if you wanted to execute decode it so you could test it, not in AA, you want to test it in Windows, then you can run Python, and this is the main program here, so that you can actually call the function that you want to call. When AA executes it, all it sees is this information here. It doesn't care about the fact that this is in the file. That means nothing to AA when it runs it. But anyway, and then the similar things exist. Here's a VBS get file inventory. So this takes a disk. This takes a input. What's this? Argument 1 and argument 2. I should have put a comment in here what the heck that is. But this is the starting argument information. So you're probably passing in the drive letter and the path, and then we're looking for all the objects that exist at that level, and then we're recursively searching all the subfolders, and we're collecting all the file names in all the subfolders, and eventually we just build this big long file of inventory of that directory. So it's all the files on or within a specific directory, kind of like the Unix find command. I should have just called it find. and then we would know what we're talking about. So, but why did I use Visual Basic here? The first thing I did was search for a Visual Basic solution, and I plugged all this in, and it worked. So I was like, okay. I think there is a get file inventory in Python. This one would work for Python. But I don't know why I didn't use this one. This one's smaller, looks like it's easier to follow, but I didn't use this one. I used the Visual Basic one.
So basically, this function is to go give it a parent directory, and it will drill down dynamically to all the subfolders and get a list.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had some reasons for doing that in this chargeback stuff. So for example, when we come back to here, we're in this work files. So we're sorting by type here. Let's sort by. So when we needed to look for all of the files that exist on the bill of lading disk, right? So instead of actually searching for each individual file name on the disk physically, I simply ran a program to build this inventory file with all the file names, and I just do a lookup, and I do a find or a search in this file for the file name that I'm looking for. And really what I'm looking for is a match on a number like this, right? Can I find a number in here that's either that number, or can I find a number that starts with 800? Can I find anything in here that has that 800 number? And if I find either one of those two numbers, then I report back a copy of this PDF file, and we use this PDF file as part of our shortage reporting. Now you can see one of the things that I don't need in this listing is I really don't need any of these 2020 files, right? So even though I did a find on this disk, there's a lot of things that are on this disk in inventory that I don't need to look at. But I did my find program does not filter it doesn't have any filtering. So we're pulling a lot of files that we're traversing a lot of this disk, and until they clean up that disk, we're just going to keep growing the number of files that we have to look through. But this proved to be very efficient, because it might take a minute or two to build this file, but once it's been built and I got to go look for 50 or 60 files, looking them up in this text image is really quick. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember you telling me some stuff like this, that you were doing lookups and it was taking forever, but you had another way to try to get it. And I think this is, I guess, what you came up with.
Yeah. So so we did copy the Python. Let's look at, so here's some VBS scripting, and let's make a copy of this, put it over there. The yeah, there, chargeback programming brought a bunch of interesting opportunities to the table, and so that was pretty cool. Where's new folder? I guess VBS. All right. I don't know if we'll ever reuse any of these VBS things, or those Python things, but they're out here in case people want to look at them. So, and I guess, yeah, anyway. All right.
Well, this was so part two of our meeting here really is, it was more like programming hints rather than control room, right? So if because I'm thinking when I'm going to bring this into Teams, maybe that's what I'll say,
Yeah,
because we went a little bit further than a control room,
right.
which was appreciated, but good.
Yeah. So if we wanted to finish up on control room pieces, um, they're outside of the automation. Oh, I don't. Why isn't this giving me? Let's see. Log out. I don't know where I'm at, Joe. Whether or not you want to save your, like when you come into the browser and you put in your credentials and the browser asks you, do you want to save those credentials? That's up to you if you want to save them or not. When you're in dev mode and you run a program, you're going to watch it run on your screen. If you schedule something, you won't see it run on your screen because it will actually run on a bot runner. And unless you're logged into the bot runner, you won't see the execution activity. But you can watch the progress of that bot runner by hanging out here in anything that's in progress, and it'll tell you the steps that it's executing. Okay, so this data collector is running, and so it's doing, the different steps. You can kind of know what it's doing if you know what the bot's designed to do, but you'll at least know when it started, and when this disappears off the screen, you'll know that it's that it's finished. There are times in production where, especially with the credit release programs that run every 15 minutes, if SAP is producing a lot of orders, the bot executions will actually back up, and it's not uncommon in production to see 5 or 6 bots waiting to execute in production. That's okay as long as the bots are running. But if a bot has gotten stuck and we've got 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 bots waiting to execute, but they're not ever going to execute until we clean up the bot that's broken or the bots that's stuck. Once we've cleaned it up, there's no reason to keep all those extra bot runners jobs out there. What we usually do is we usually cancel them, and then, especially for credit release, we know that the next bot's going to show up in 15 minutes. So let's get rid of all the things that didn't run, and then we'll wait for the next job to run in 15 minutes. Now, it might take an hour to get through all the orders that are pending, but at least it'll have a clean slate to start running in that space. But normally you come out to the bot runner activity, and most of the bots that we've built, to date, they really only take about 5 or 10 minutes to execute. And then all your bot history is in the history space underneath activity. So if your bot is having a trouble, you'll see failed messages out here for it. You'll probably get emails as well. And so you'll have to,